All right, let's see if we can get him on the stream. He actually has his camera on. I'm going to kind of guide the interview here as we go through it. Not a lot of pressure on him to do anything. But real quick, just introduce you what's going on. We're going to do an interview with a guy named Fern, who is a part of Eve Guru. He can clarify. And specifically what I want to talk to him about is a video he made about the whole Loro situation. So I don't really care to talk about Loro at all. I've said everything I need to say about that shit at this point. What we're going to talk about is Fern's video and the things he said in there. And then I'm going to ask him some questions and we'll give him some time to respond and everything else. And so if he agrees to it, we're good to go. So I'm going to bring him on now. Hello there. Hello there. You're probably going to want to mute my stream.
Yep, just did that.
Beautiful. And we'll pull up in some chats here. You said you're not really going to read them. Fair enough. No big deal. So, first of all, hello, my name is Chlorokin. I am a white, atheist, leftist American from Pennsylvania, right? Pretty mixed state, honestly, kind of Republican. And kind of what I'm hoping to do today is to ask you, how do you see yourself? Like, what are you? You said in your video you're like a white Christian guy. Can you just tell me what your identity is before we move on?
Yeah, I'm a lover of Jesus.
Yeah, so Christian?
Yes, absolutely.
You look white, but I'm going to ask you, are you a Caucasian?
I am a white boy.
Okay. All right. So we're both white boys. All right. None of us are gay, right? None of us are queer in any way. I'm a cis het guy. You like women?
Yeah.
Okay.
Married 18 years, two boys. Yep.
Married to a woman, right? Okay. Cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we know who you are. I know who I am. We understand that I'm a leftist. You're a Christian guy. You're a Republican. I'm assuming I don't believe in electoralism. Really boring. So basically, my goal today is to talk about the things that bothered me in your video and maybe ask you some hard questions. And then when I'm done with a couple of questions, like I'm just going to give you the floor for 5 minutes and let you kind of plant the seeds of your ideas. And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't think that they're going to have a whole lot of effect and I'm not too threatened by it. However, I'm going to give you time to talk later about your ideas and what they mean to you after I do some hard questions. If you want to bail at any time or you don't want to answer, that's fine. These are not that difficult, though. We're just going to talk about what you said. So does this sound good? Am I trapping you? Do you feel like I'm like fucking you up or clip chimping you? Like, are you cool with this?
No, I think this is, I mean, the reason I'm here is that I don't get many opportunities where I'm from to talk to the other side in a controlled manner.
Here we go.
Right. And so I'm not here to change people's minds or to tell people that they're wrong. I'm just hoping to kind of what you said, just plant a few seeds and see what happens.
All right. Well, if that's your attitude, then fine, we'll be good. So listen, thing happened with Loro. He said, no political stream. I'm going to do an apolitical stream, no flags. My whole take was it seems bad for business. That's why corporations do that. But like I basically didn't see him say, I hate the gays. I didn't see that anywhere. I just saw a bad business move in my opinion. So moving past Loro, your idea was the response to this was overwhelming. And this was basically kind of like, not to put words in your mouth, but this was in the lines of like a witch hunt and it was a cancel culture style thing. Is that fair to say?
When I was reading, Reddit, it was certainly folks were coming after his partnership. It had 600 upvotes, 1,100 comments. One of the comments that stood out to me that had 200 upvotes was he talks about Jesus a lot in his stream, and I think he's weird, and that got a ton of upvotes. He had another comment was like, yeah, he has a prayer channel in his Discord, and folks were offended by that, and so it basically was being mapped as Christians hating gays, basically in Reddit, and hurt my feelings.
Okay, fair enough. I'm just trying to understand before we go into anything that was said. I'm not interested in arguing against a straw man. That's not you. So here we go. One of the things you said, I just want to start off with you said, I don't understand why we can't all play nice. And kind of, this isn't really a question. This is just where we're starting off with. And I think my goal of the interview is by the time you're done, based on the questions I'm saying, you should probably get a sense for why it's really difficult for us to play nice with some of the ideas you had. So my goal is not going to be convincing you you're right or wrong. I don't give a fuck, just like you don't give a fuck. But I'm going to try to put you in a situation that's tough. And if I can't do that, if you kind of gloss through it, then, it is what it is. We can't rewind it. So let's just begin. And part of what I want to do here is ask a question with a little bit of backgrounding from the video, because I watched it and I got to say, did you watch me watch it at all? Be honest.
No, I didn't.
Okay, because
I didn't know you reacted to it.
Somebody put it on my thing and don't watch it because I was basically just like, nonstop flaming you, and like I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, and I was so upset. My chat was like, "What the fuck?" So like I feel strongly about the video. I want to make that clear. But in the video, you talk about the left a lot. If I'm reading a little thing I wrote, you're saying with the left, it's more about like how loud you yell versus the truth. Is that something, you know, that you believe? Like it's more about the noise and the emotions. That's kind of a point you were making with the left. Is that just a no for now? I'll open it up.
Yeah. Yes.
Kind of the left is emotional. They kind of group together and get together and do like a pitchfork thing, cancel culture. You said that the left wants control and people that get in the way, their job is to kind of get rid of that. So my question to you, because I don't know you, I have no idea who you are, is like, what is the left in your head, in Fern's mind? Who is the left? Like, because I don't know what you're talking about yet, but I'm about to.
Yeah, so there's different things that kind of make up the left, and there are some ideas that don't always meld between the two sides, right? Like abortion is a pretty polarizing topic, very polarizing. Of course, you know, the gay thing and transgender thing, very polarizing. The left, I mean, we could just sit on abortion for a minute.
Well, who are they first? Like, who are these Democrats? Like,
I mean, they typically are, and you know, the right is typically Republican, but I wouldn't classify Democrats as left. I see the left more as the mob, and so if you say something I don't like, I'm gonna burn down my own town, basically. And that's what we've seen happen. Like I've never seen, I mean, someone will have to show me some videos of the right burning down their own neighbors' businesses. Like that is such a foreign concept.
Yeah,
I can't wrap my head around it.
I don't like burning things down. That's terrible. You're going to find some common ground there. I mean, you know, it just seems a little nebulous. This who is the left? Like if it's the Democrats, that makes sense. If it's, you know, maybe we're talking about the left as in, you know, anybody that is against, you know, the kind of the conservative fiscal values, anybody who's against like traditional social order. Like obviously Democrats make up the left. We can just agree. Like Democrats are a large part of the left in the US. And then the right would be Republican voters, centrist, kind of in between. And I just want to understand, like when you say the left, are you talking more about Democrats or I know you're saying that you're talking about a group of people, but who are they? Like who are these people if they're not Democrats? I'm trying to find some common identity between them. Why are they the left? Right? It's a challenging question, but
I would say in general, and I want to address the chat here real quick because they bring up a good point. So like what happened on January 6th, right? That is definitely a right event that was violent. And I hate that with every bone in my body. So, you know, I think what happened on January 6th is despicable.
They pooped on Nancy Pelosi's desk. That's incredibly based. I don't want to hear this.
They also harmed cops.
All right, that sucks, yeah.
Folks who did not have that coming. And so anytime you use physical violence to use in politics is evil. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're on for that.
Okay. Yeah, no doubt. So I'm just going to assume when you're talking about the left in this context, we're talking about Democrats mostly and people that side with the opposite of kind of the way you're describing yourself to be.
Yeah, let me be more specific because it's kind of tough because Democrats are not my enemy.
Okay.
And I don't hate anybody. It's typically the left is vehemently anti-God. And it shows up all in their decision making. Yeah. And so when I think the left is just anti-God, anti-Western culture. Yeah, I'm not saying that Western culture is godly because I'm sure we'll have opportunities to talk about everywhere that Western culture has failed. But, you know, typically the left is very anti-God and they push it in your face pretty good.
Okay. So it just seems like left and right to you is the social values of a people essentially, and like what, you know, how they are going to act about it, sort of.
Yeah, where I kind of get tangled up is that I submit my politics to God, and so for me, my spiritual position in Christianity is first, and I will die on that hill no matter what, and I will submit my politics to it. Like
you said
we could talk about so many things where people do the opposite, right? Like Trump is their God, and then they sprinkle Jesus in there to justify how they feel about people.
What do you feel about Trump?
Trump
would you fuck Trump or no?
I vote for him.
You wouldn't fuck him?
No.
Okay. I'm just asking because my chat's really weird, dude. Like, anyway, go on.
Yeah, so I vote for Trump
Okay.
because Trump is a fighter, and so from where I sat, the Republican Party, which is the only party I could identify with somewhat as a born again Christian, was weak and pathetic, and had been pushed around for the past my whole lifetime. I'm 37, and
Woo.
Trump was the first person, even though he is everything that Christianity tells you not to be. Right? He does not display the fruits of the Spirit. He's not gentle. He's not kind. He's not long suffering. So he doesn't portray the fruits of the Spirit. However, he fights and he stands up, and he's the only person I've ever seen do it. And I'm hopeful that the next president, if Jesus
Trump?
ran for president, I'd vote for him in a heartbeat.
Well, Trump will go again, right?
I'd have no idea.
I hope so. That'd be crazy.
I don't think it's legal.
Well, not yet, but who knows? We'll see. Listen, okay, so I just kind of wanted to get a sense of like, the left-right issue. Some people have it binarily between Democrats and Republicans. Some people it's more about faith. Other people it's more about capitalism, right? And if you listen to my streams, you'll hear me talk about capitalism, social, but that's not really what we're going to talk about today. I'm not going to bore you. What I am going to do is get to something that's a little bit harder to understand for me. Is you said that the rainbow is a symbol of Christianity, and that we're basically dealing with you have friends that are Christians, but they tolerate gays, but it's like a mixed bag. And then you talk about like the idea of transgenders having this exorbitantly high, self-harm and suicide rate, which is an undisputed observation in science that this demographic has this extremely high rate of suicide and self-harm. And so the question I need to ask you, and, can you tell us why you think it's so high, like in your own ideas?
Man, sure. So I'll give you my answer and what I think, because I read a lot across the spectrum, because I want to understand what other people think too, right? So I'll let you answer for yourself. I don't want to assume. From my side, I believe that God did not screw up when he created you. Your DNA is unique to you. Your eyes are unique to you, your DNA. Even your heartbeat. So whenever that pilot crashed in Iran,
creationism,
we found him. I'm sorry. What?
Creationism, is that what the idea is, or?
Yeah. So when God created you, it says that in the Bible, it says he breathed the breath of life in you. So every single baby is conceived through the breath of God. It's kind of cool because there's like this video where they found at the moment of conception, the egg and the sperm. And when they get together, there's like this really big flash of light. And, we didn't know that before. In the Bible, it talks about the light of life. And so it's just cool little things like that, right? Like we cannot explain how life even comes into existence yet. We just know it happens. And so I believe when God created you, because he knew you before you were born, the Bible says. He knew you. He knows when you're going to die. He knows everything about you. And he's loves you fiercely, and he's waiting for you. And when he created you, he didn't screw up. And so your best life is whatever gender your body is currently in. That is what I believe. Okay. And when you fight against that, it is by its nature anti-God, because God has a plan for you. When you fight against the plan of God, you may not have a bad life or a terrible life, but it will not be at God's best, essentially.
So is it safe to say that this is essentially passive divine retribution for steering from the plan? Is that essentially what we're getting at?
No. I wouldn't say this is retribution. I don't think like God is punishing someone and then
what
they feel
doing?
Suicidal. He's not doing anything. You have the choice. One of the cool things, man, if we ever get to talking about Adam and Eve, that like people kind of gloss over that story, but it's so deep. When the serpent tempted Eve, he didn't tempt Eve to know what evil is. He tempted Eve to have control, to define what's good and evil. And that's been the original sin since the beginning. God says, here's what's good, here's what's evil, but you get to choose what's good and evil. And when you call something good, when God calls it evil, then things come your way. It's kind of like, when you make something, it's supposed to work a certain way. And so if you work against it, if you jump off a bridge because you claim that gravity doesn't exist, you're probably going to hit the water. Okay. And so it's kind of like that.
I understand what your point, actually. It's not quite divine retribution. You mentioned you were kind of curious what I thought about this as well. And, the idea that there's something within where things come your way and kind of, there's an effect out there that's metaphysical and kind of, supernatural. Obviously, to my brain, it's like in one ear and out the other. I'm just being real with you. Like that's how you understood this was going to go. But it can be explained, I think, with science and academia as well. This issue of the self-harm thing. I mean, you're really dealing with a people that we know the term oppressed. We know the term, marginalized. We know what these means. But transgenderism is a specific level of oppression that's not really happened in this way. And the reason why women, specifically trans femme women, are so suicidal and self-harm is because not something from within, really, in my opinion. There's nothing to back that up. It's because of the way that society treats them. And one thing stands out. Okay, why don't the gay people have this high level? Why don't, people of color? Is because transgender people, they kind of trigger this testosterone and kind of the way that we do things. And it really, how do you put this? When you have a man who thinks he's talking to a woman or a man very strongly believing that this is not the right way to live one's life, and then you have somebody who's changed genders, it's a lot for them to handle. And you often get these feelings, these instincts of toxic masculinity, you'll hear it be called, right? We can use another term, which is just manliness, that kind of overcome. You look at what happens with trans violence against trans people, and it's almost exclusively hate crimes, which are people that do it to target them. You talk about suicide and self-harm, which is the topic of this. And this is going to be something that's really difficult for probably you and I to understand, but that idea of things happening to us, right? That's not magical. Like in my worldview, it's because of the bigotries we let pass, because of the idea that we've allowed this natural expression of the way you feel to offend somebody else and allow them to act some type of way. I hope that like you and I wouldn't stab some transgender woman if she hit on us or something, but that happens all the time. And it only happens to trans people, that particular crime, right? Self-harm, there's never been a level of kind of bullying to this extent. There's never been a level of dismissal, of disapproval. And people just like yourself think it's unnatural, right? And I get that. But where I don't get is that the idea that these people are somehow doing more self-harm, and that is just coming from within. Because if that was coming from within, my guy, surely the actual bad people in the world would have these misfortunes happening to them. I mean, I don't want to do logic with God. There's no point, but why would straying from gender require such strong-handedness? It's like you said it yourself, Republicans are, breeding more, not to say that word, but trans people generally don't even procreate like that, So my challenge is this, if it's coming from within, why trans people and not people out there doing genocides in the name of, Zionism or something like that? Why exactly and of course, I don't believe in God. I think it's all stupid, but somebody that actually understands this from within, why bother with the trans people? Is it really that big of a deal if God's doing it? Now, I don't think he is.
Yeah.
But.
So, I mean, that's a multi-layered question.
Yeah, I'm just rambling. No, you can just pick. You can pick and choose. You don't have to do everything.
Cool. So let's start with the oppression of transgenders within society.
Yes.
So in the U.S., that is certainly, I'm going to speak on behalf of Christians, are fighting back quite a bit against the transgender agenda. Yeah. That is happening. In Europe, however, that's not so much the case. I mean, Europe is mostly atheist at this point. I think the latest statistics is, someone can look it up for me, I want to say it's 70%. It's very high. And so transgenders are accepted in Europe, unless you feel differently.
I mean, transgenders are not accepted in any liberal democracy. There's a progressive transitory scale of how much a country accepts them and doesn't hate crime them, but nowhere really outside of a couple Southeast Asian countries is it really truly on the street, no possibility of extra hate crimes coming your way. So if your point of accepted is are you going to get stabbed when you leave your house? You're right. That's not really the case in most European countries. You're right. In the US, it depends. Hyperbole.
I'll admit, I've never seen a transgender very much mistreated anywhere in my personal life. I mean, I've personally never seen it. I've bumped into them. I've never seen them treated poorly.
Who did you bump into? What happened? Talk to us. I mean, if you've never hung out with a trans person, what good is this anecdote is the point.
Oh, no. I have hung out with trans people. I mean, they're everywhere.
Fucking everywhere, man. They're in the walls.
Everywhere. They're everywhere. They're in the bars, you know. I'll go out with drinks with some folks sometimes. I know that may shock people as a Christian. You go out and you drink. Yeah, I mean, Jesus did not convert wine into fruit juice. It was wine.
So like, what were they like? What were the trans people you knew like? What were they like? I'm curious.
They were nice. Yeah. I didn't have a problem. I did not have a problem with them. Well, the issue, what gets complicated is the bathroom situation.
Yeah, what happened?
And what gets really complicated is when, I mean, no one went to the bathroom with me. It was just by happenstance. I don't, you know, and the thing with trans folks is that half the time you probably don't even realize it, right? And so, because they blend in so well. And so I don't really lose sleep over it.
Okay.
The issue that kind of burns me a little bit is like, you know, I took my kid to the doctor, and the doctor, we were doing like, it was just like, you know, a cold. And they were like, all right, what does your son identify as? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, is he a boy or a girl? I'm like, he's a boy. And they're like, okay. And then they asked my son what he identifies as. And I told him to go pound sand. Like, nobody is going to dictate to my boys and tell them that they get the choice of their gender, because they don't. They're born boys. And I can't think of anything more harmful for children than to start confusing them on their gender at an age when they don't even know how to clothe themselves. And so if it's like an adult thing, like if you're 18 and older and you decide you want to transition, you go through all that, I'm not losing a whole lot of sleep over it. But when it starts getting pushed on kids, which it always does, then yeah, I'm dying on that hill.
I thought you didn't want to debate. It's funny. You're down to debate. I like this. Listen. So can I just tell you something real fast? Like, medical outcome and medical practice does actually like identity is like the outcome is based on whether or not they know the identity of the person a lot of the time. So like what you're essentially doing is arguing against medical science as a dad, which is fair. You don't have to subject your children to anything you like. I mean, you have full final control over that child. And if that pisses you off, that's fine. But what that doctor was trying to do was to get the best healthcare for your kid, whether or not you realize that or not. Like, that's my take.
The doctor's wrong. Yeah, the doctor's wrong.
The doctor went to school for 8 years, and you know, you're just a guy. It makes sense why you can tell the doctor to get the best medical outcome. It makes sense, right? Listen, the doctor is the doctor. He asked the question specifically to give your child the best outcome, and you don't like that. You're allowed to not like that.
But yeah, the DSM-4 and DSM-5. So throughout all of human history, transgenderism has been identified as, well, a dysphoria. And so it didn't become science until when? Not even 20 years ago?
Yeah, it's pretty new. It's pretty nice. What's up, Noah?
Yeah. So that calls into question. I mean, you know, how do you feel about the COVID vaccines looking in hindsight?
You want to talk about COVID?
You know what you know now. I mean, not really. But the point I'm trying to make is that COVID was science and was pushed on a lot of folks. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, from where I see in the COVID, like of course I didn't take the COVID vaccine. Yeah. And looking back, glad I didn't. So the problem with science is that science gets put under the bridge, if you will, of popular opinion pretty often.
That's it? I don't see how. I just don't see how. I don't see how you can say that. Science is a process, a series of processes with educated, specialized individuals exchanging peer-reviewed journals and ideas. Like, I'm not really understanding how there's a debate when we're talking about a doctor trying to do the best medical process in their life. Like, if it was an issue of transgender the kids, I mean, they would lose their practice instantly. I mean, it's okay to not like them, but I don't agree that you're going to know better for a human being's health than a doctor. You know, that just doesn't seem real.
Trying to disconnect someone's biology from who they are, trying to disconnect their ideology from their DNA is incredibly dangerous. And we can, so to your point, you're like, hey, you know, society is oppressing transgenders. That's why the suicide is high. I'm saying suicide is high because they're transgendered and because they're disconnected from their DNA, which is the root of who they are.
No, I hear that point. Yeah.
I mean, and it's a fact. It's in Europe. It's in the US. Yeah. And I don't see on the news, and it's like I can only go to the news, right? And I'm more than happy to be educated on this. Okay. I don't see a whole lot of stabbings happening in the USA towards transgenders. I'm more than happy to be educated on this.
No. When I said stabbing, I was doing hyperbole. My apologies. I use hyperbole a lot. When I say a transgender gets stabbed outside of their lawn, that is a total throwaway comment. But
we can't throw that away. We can't throw that away.
Well, I can give you a more accurate one.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be helpful because physical violence is like not acceptable. And if I'm going to try to convince a transgender person, not even usually, the only time is acceptable.
Remember when we fragged all those Nazi in World War II? Remember that? That was pretty acceptable.
Yeah,
remember when we overthrew the British and took the country from them? That was pretty acceptable. Remember when we kicked out the Spanish colonistas? We kicked them out. Remember when we basically did imperialism since conception and dominated every single country we talked about? That was all acceptable. Why is suddenly...
show us a civil war. It was acceptable.
So why is it like, okay, violence is bad when it's against... It's like violence is great for us if it's against the people that we want it to be. And apparently, you know, like your problem is not so much to me that trans people are dying in droves from self-harm. It's that, like, you know, they're not playing ball with God, which just seems like, you know, it's hard to have that conversation.
It's not even playing ball with God. Most people don't. There's a lot of ways to not play ball with God.
I'm an atheist,
right? I mean, playing ball with God is tough. I mean, choosing to be a Christian is tough.
So if they're not playing ball, what is a transgender doing that gets them this fate in your mind?
When you decide that you are if I decided I'm a girl.
Yeah. A hot girl or like a really ugly girl?
Probably a really ugly girl for sure.
I love that.
Yeah. And so it doesn't line up with the truth. And when you choose to have your own truth rather than lining up with the truth, by the way, lining up with the truth is hard. Sure. And doing your own truth is hard. You got to pick your hard. But when you decide you're not going to align with the truth, it screws with you. It screws with you. And most people turn bitter after a while because they're trying to force their truth on others and other people just won't accept it.
I get your point. I do. I hear you loud and clear. I understand what you're trying to communicate. I get it. Disagree, but I hear your point. It's loud and clear. I think chat does too. Let's talk about something a little bit lighter. Let's talk about abortion.
Okay.
So I think one thing you mentioned was the people who call the right Nazis are for like convenient abortion. I'm just paraphrasing. You said that means they don't have the moral high ground. So I'm not even going to ask you about abortion. I'm going to do something fun. What do you think about, just for fun, what do you think I think about abortion as like this leftist?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, just a guess. You're not...
honestly, I don't know. And I don't like guessing because I don't know you well enough, and that's not fair.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I'm not going to force you to do something you don't want to do. My stance on abortion is that it's wrong. I just think that sometimes we need to kill babies to make society work, and that's a big shame that women should deal with and not us. That's where it comes down to. So I think it's wrong, though.
Sure. Can you be more specific?
On which part? I think it's morally wrong to do abortion. Yeah.
But why do we need it for society to work?
Yes. We need it for society work because having autonomy over one's body is more important than propagating the species. That's like a basic right of being a childbirthing person to me, right? Is like, you know, it's more important for them to have just the right to control what's happening from within their own processes than it is for this. Essentially, what I'm admitting to, in my opinion, as a leftist, is not very normal, is like this life being wasted. So to me, it's just that simple. So like, it may not be exactly what you're going for, but I think it's wrong. And I think you'll agree with that. But I think it's totally perfectly cool to have abortions, right? If you need an abortion, go for it.
So if a baby is 2 years old, would you be okay with someone killing it?
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think this goes all the way up to 36 and then I'm done. No, I'm kidding. No, dude, I think if it's in a woman's womb, then it's her choice. That's all it comes down to. I don't believe you should kill kids.
And so if it's the day before the birth, what's your position?
That's a huge shame, but it's still her choice. I think the murder happens from conception to the day before it's born. That's my stance.
Right. And the biblical stance is, I knew you before you were born, and I've created you. Right. I've known you before you were born. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. Before you were born, I knew you. Like there's all this before you were born stuff. Right. Now, some people like to point to the Old Testament and be like, well, but if the woman had a miscarriage or if someone hurt her, then they didn't get the death penalty. So it's clearly not a human. Right. So you could take that defense. But that baby feels pain. And there's lots of it for those who are brave enough to watch it. I can't hardly ever watch it.
I'm saying you kill it. I'm just giving you that. It's things killing a person. I'm just giving you that, making your job easy to persuade.
So if you're killing a person, how is it not murder?
Well, I'm saying it's murder. I'm saying, but it's legal murder, like self-defense in a sense, the same way how that's legal murder. It's just a different part of humanity. Yeah, it's a tough one.
How is it self-defense? How is the baby harming
No, I'm not
you?
saying it's self-defense. I'm saying it's like that in the sense that you ask for a legal murder, and I'm giving you one example of that. So hold on.
I agree with you. Wait. I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Abortion currently is legal murder. Does that make it godly?
Well, I don't believe in God. I'm just saying it's wrong to kill things, and abortion should be avoided if possible. But hold on, real fast. Why are we? Do you even think that we have a right to talk about this as non-childbirthing people? Shouldn't we just leave this to the people that can make kids, or no? Like that's my stance. We should let them legislate it.
Well, that's definitely a hot take.
Well,
so
yeah.
In Christianity, the man is the priest of the home. And so when we die, we present our wives to the Lord as a pure vessel. And so it's one of our jobs to protect our wives from everything we can, and our family for that matter. And when the Lord talks with my wife, he's going to ask, how well did you support your family? How well did you submit to your husband? Whew, that's a hot topic. For the man, the Lord will ask, how well did you lead your home, and how well did you submit to me? And so the man has a huge responsibility to lead his family. And because society is full of men, you would hope
there's more women than men, right?
I think I don't know.
No, there's more women than men. I'm just telling you. Yeah.
Cool. That works.
Well, okay, so
it doesn't change for the head of the family. Sure,
and I get that, but you're talking about family unit through a Christian lens. Fine, I'm talking about society, which this doesn't prescribe to. Like society, why do men get to make the laws on Congress, for example, for women's bodies? You're talking about the family unit. Fine, I'm not going to take that away from you. You guys do your thing, right? I'm not going to meddle.
Yeah, sure.
But why does Congress, men, largely get to have a say in this? This is a tough. I don't see how you have an answer for this. Let's do it.
I do. And we'll probably have to dig through it because it may not be an answer you like. So as Sam Adams said, that our laws are for religious people and wholly inadequate for a people of any other. If you were to get on like Opus, Cloud Opus for those who have used AI, or do your own study and say, hey, look through all of American history, 1776 through the 1950s, and estimate a percentage of Christians who were in government, it would come back at 99% every single year, which is a tragedy too. Because this is why, if you don't like Christians, dude, you could point to a lot of things. Like during the Civil War, the South were run by Christians, and they all advocated for slavery. Like they justified it with both the Old and New Testament. And
interesting.
In the North, it was Christians too. In fact, a lot of people don't know slavery was legal in all states whenever 1776 occurred. And so the Christians in the North began to outlaw slavery one after another until you got to Virginia. And 9 out of the 13 states required a declaration of faith. I'll read one of them. I'll just read one, but I can read them all if you're interested. But you're from Pennsylvania, right?
I'm from Pennsylvania. What do you got?
So Pennsylvania, 1776, your state constitution says, I do believe in one God, the creator and governor of the universe, the rewarder of the good and the punisher of the wicked. And I do acknowledge the scriptures of the Old and New Testament to be given by divine inspiration. Mm-hmm. That's in your constitution. Mm-hmm. 9 other states share that. And so when you have someone like Thomas Jefferson, who the left idolizes because Jefferson said, this is not a Christian country, right? He gets pasted everywhere. He was from Virginia. He also owned 600 slaves, and Virginia, of course, was the leading state of the Civil War. But again, to be fair, just because he was a deist didn't mean that Christians didn't own slaves, because they did, and which is a tragedy. So if you like Christians, you can find a lot of examples to hate them, or if you like Christians, you can find a lot of examples to love them. You can also find a lot of examples to hate them if you hate Christians. It's not going to be that difficult.
I don't hate Christians. I just want to be clear.
Yeah, and I don't hate anybody either. And so when we talk about like today, when you fast forward to today,
but what about how's that? So what about like the women in Congress thing? Why are we as men legislating them? I guess I'm lost here. Why are we legislating abortion?
Because they're children, and no one has who's going to voice for the children. And women, it's good for women, and women do speak up for kids, but murder's just wrong, and it doesn't matter what gender I am. It's just wrong.
But shouldn't that be the woman's job to sort out whether it's right or wrong, since or the birthing person's like body, shouldn't it be on them to figure out what's right and wrong, not us?
From a Christian perspective, the man is the priest of the home.
I don't care about Christian, just yours. So no,
That's my perspective.
Okay,
my perspective. Yeah, because I submit to. So one of the things of being a Christian is that I submit my opinion to that of God's. And so even if, like, is your side logical? Yeah, you have a logical position, and it's the original sin. You get to define what's good and evil, and you're like, hey, the girl gives birth, therefore the girl gets to decide. That's your truth, right? And you can have that truth, and a lot of people do. It's just anti-God.
Okay, fair enough. So I guess, on this one in particular with the abortion, I don't really purport to have the moral high ground because I also think it is wrong. So it's just an interesting topic, a little bit off the tracks there, but fair enough. I do it all the time too. So fair enough. Listen, we'll move on to the next one. A couple more things I want to talk about. And thank you, by the way, for talking about this. So one thing that you brought up in your video that I took kind of an exception to, and I'm going to respond to a few more things when we're done, but at the end in your video, you mentioned that, Republicans are outnumbering Democrats and Democrats are like losing representation and not having children. I guess, how do you, so I'm just trying to think of how to phrase this. So I guess basically my question is like, how much do you know like about like the parties in the US and like their demographics shifting and like the cycles of that? Because I don't get this sensation when I hear you talk about this that you really have any understanding of American history, like when it comes to the parties, right? And maybe that's oversimplifying and I'm being inflammatory, but I can clarify even more. Like, I'll give you the socialist perspective on this. It doesn't matter if it's Republicans or Democrat. You are having a bourgeoisie serving you're having a government that serves the interest of the bourgeoisie, the capitalists that own the mode of production in capitalism. However, with the paradigm of left versus right in America, Republicans, Democrats, like you don't really think Democrats are just going to vanish and it's going to become a one-party state, do you? Like, is it going to become a one-party state in your head, or do you think that there's another party that's going to pop up? Maybe you can just tell me about that real fast, and then I'll respond.
I think. If you hold me over a shotgun and you ask me to foretell the future, I will try. But I am not at all going to die on this hill. It's just how I see it, I guess.
That's what I'm asking.
Taking the Myers-Briggs test, I'm an ENTP, so I take my superpowers, taking all these different things and hooking them up. So
I'm like 40 IQ.
I'm a model builder.
They don't let me take things.
You are not 40 IQ.
45,
because 40 IQ people don't have conversations like this. So you're definitely not 40 IQ.
Yes. 50. Go on. So we're talking about Democrat decline in your eyes. What replaces Democrats?
So humans will always fractionalize. It's the way of it. So for example,
that's true.
I'll speak for me. I vote Republican.
Yeah.
And Republican for most of my life just sucked. Everything about them sucked. Here recently, they at least fight back, which I like. However, I do not like the spirit behind either party.
Okay.
I wish.
Do you know what socialism is? You ever heard of that? Socialism, where like the workers own like. What do you think about like a government with like one party? I know I'm just going to cut to the chase. This was my next question, like because you're going to build
like the Chinese
or many other countries. Yeah, one party. What is that? Like, what if it's just Republicans? What happens to you?
Well, I don't think it matters. So, like for example, if you go back in early, like we talked about in early American history, everybody was Christian. Guess what? Still killing each other over ideals, right? In this case, slavery. I think if my fortune telling cookie would say that cancel culture is on the way out, the Democratic Party is in decline. It's in the birth rates. It's in the statistics. It's in their leadership is disappearing. I guess AOC is going to run for president, and I think we all have a pretty good feeling how that's going to go.
You like her, right?
Oh yeah, love her.
Okay, not a fan of the AOC.
Because any Republican can beat her. I know that's maybe a hot take.
Dude, Mitt Romney could not beat AOC. I don't want to hear this.
Mitt Romney is not a Republican. Well, okay, let me dial that back. I don't view Mitt Romney as a true Republican.
I'm not even involved in this game, and I can nail one. Listen, you got to work on it.
I know. I need to dial. Like the funny thing is, I don't even care that deeply about it. So,
what happens when Democrats go away? What happens in your eyes?
At some point,
New party?
it's going to be, well, we've had new parties in the past. You've had the Whigs, right? You've had, I mean, we've been through the Federalists. There's been all kinds of
What about
parties
the
that
Tea
pop
Party?
up.
That's my boys.
The Tea Party. Oh, boy. I don't know is the short answer. And for me, I don't get hung up too much on it because I could be a Christian in a tyranny. I can be a Christian in a dictatorship. I can be a Christian in North Korea. So I don't get too worried about like capitalist versus socialist or communist. I can be a Christian wherever I pop out.
Yeah.
So all I care about is my kids. I like for them to live in a country where I don't see them killed. That'd be nice. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm not saying that, the left is trying to kill my kids. No, that's not happening.
They're trying to trans them, though, at the doctor's office. That's true,
right.
According to you.
And when I talk about death, I'm not even talking about physical death. I'm talking about spiritual death, which is much worse than the physical death. The second death is much worse than the first. And so, yeah, I would love a country that had where the mental anguish of folks wasn't so deep. Like, why is the pharmaceutical companies making all this money on mental meds? It's outrageous. Like, what happened to the peace of God, man?
Listen, easier topic again. We're going to go to Muslims now. Okay. This is the final thing I'm going to talk about. And then I'm going to go back through each topic and give you some of my perspectives that are a little bit more, tough to deal with. And I'll give you a final 5 minutes to respond. Yeah. So for Muslims, you said a couple things that, incensed me in my chat. Something that always, triggers our Hitler particle detector is when somebody talks about the exploding populations of Muslim people in European countries. And you did mention UK and how there's the Muslim population is skyrocketing. You talked about London politicians are talking about like an eventual kind of rug pull to Sharia law. You mentioned, tongue in cheek that that's not really what's going to happen, but the goal is to do a rug pull. You also mentioned there's like revolutionary vibes in Britain, which I can only purport to mean anti-Muslim. So, my question to you is, this one's tough. This is a tough one. So you got to do this for this one, right? You got to do this. Okay. You got to play along. You got to take your hands off the keyboard. Put them up. Okay, leave them.
1 second.
Yeah, sure.
Here, I got push to talk on.
So here's the deal.
Let me. Here they are.
Muslim's a complicated thing in the West, especially for Christianity, Abrahamic religion. Can you name a Muslim person that's alive now? Just name a Muslim person.
Like a friend or
anybody at all.
On the internet?
Anybody you can think of that's currently alive that's Muslim. Just a single person.
Well, if I say Muhammad, I think that counts as half
he's
of
dead.
them.
He's dead. Yeah.
No, the number one name in
London, you got to know the person.
Past 5 years has been Muhammad.
You can't just guess. So is it fair to say you don't know any off the top of your head? Is that safe? You can put your you're good.
Oh, I put my hands down.
Yeah, if you don't know any, it's okay. No doubt. And I always find this bizarre because this also works with China too. Sometimes I'll talk to people. I'm like, can you name a single Chinese person that's alive? And they're like, no. However, they have a crazy level of rhetoric to spew about China, for example. And in this instance, like, if you're not embarrassed, you probably should be, because like that's pretty hard to reconcile with. Like, you don't know a single Muslim person in your entire life that's alive, but you're worried about the Great Replacement in Europe and how it's going to affect,
It's not the Great Replacement.
Well,
I'm not worried about the Great Replacement.
What would you call it? The Muslim population in Britain skyrocketing with a rug pull. What would you call that?
Yeah, so Christians have been fighting Sharia law for millennia, right? I mean, you can go back to the Iberian Peninsula, the Crusades. I mean, you just go down the list, right? And what we recognize that not everyone recognizes until it's too late, typically, is that Sharia law has absolutely zero overlap with Western culture and Christian ideals. It is so anti-God. It is horrific.
Can you tell me where Sharia law is in action right now? Can you give me like a city or something without looking it up? Don't look it up. It's okay. We can tell.
Without looking it up.
We can tell you're looking it up. So if you don't know, you don't know. It's okay. But so you don't know any place where Sharia law is active, right? So this thing doesn't really exist.
Whoa, wait a minute here. So like Afghanistan,
but you just looked it up.
We pulled out no, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I had to look. Okay, here. I'll put my hands up.
Okay.
Hands on the head.
No cheating.
Right.
No cheating.
So in Afghanistan, we conquered it, kind of, sort of, not really.
Okay.
We bailed. And what happened the next day to the women in that country?
Taliban. They got oppressed by Taliban.
And which looked like what?
Look like what? People?
Yeah. What did it look like? Like, what did it physically look like to be oppressed?
It looked
by the
like
Taliban?
a theocratical government oppressing women because they have backwards patriarchal views, not unlike Christians.
You think, okay, there we go. Now we're getting to it. So
yeah, all the Abrahamic religions have backwards views on women.
I disagree.
But you just said your wife needs to submit to you. How is that not patriarchal? Yeah. That's the definition of patriarchal. Sorry, go ahead.
So, sure. So let's one thing at a time. So whenever we left, the women were no longer allowed to go to school. They were no longer allowed to drive. They were put in, their claws over their faces to hide their eyes. And it happened the next day.
What are those called?
Hijab.
Hijab, niqab, what are they called? Okay.
And so that happened the next day. And that's the kind of culture. I mean, Iran too.
But I asked you Sharia law. Is Taliban doing Sharia law? I mean, they're not. They're not. That's not what they're doing. Like, Sharia law is a very specific religious component of these theocracies.
Educate me. What law is Taliban using?
They have their own government system. They have a theocratical first, extremely backwards, oppressive state.
But what's it called?
It's called the Taliban's government. Sharia law is not this encompassing term that affects all Muslim governments. I mean, you can look that up on Wikipedia if you want to take a second. Tell me what Sharia law is according to Wikipedia, and we'll go from there. It is a subsect of laws imposed by an ultra-Orthodox subsect of Muslim people. It is not something that exists in every backwards society that has a predominantly Muslim population.
All right,
look at that. Wait, hold on. Look, my stream died right as I was cooking. Damn. All right, you got an easy one. All right, go on.
Oh, no, I think it was running. So I guess what you're saying is I need to expand my definition even outside of Sharia law. So
I don't think you know what it is.
I may not, quite honestly.
So why are you so against it?
Because it's the oppression of women. It's the oppression of free thought. It's anti-God. It's anti-Western culture. And so anything that falls in that is, well, anti-God.
Mm-hmm. But don't you think it's a little bit ridiculous to be so against something that you don't really know what it is and where it's at? I mean, come on.
No? I mean, maybe.
Okay.
But perhaps you don't have to know something too deep when you just look at it.
Yeah, but you could just say, I don't like Muslim culture. I don't like Muslim governments. You don't have to say Sharia law.
That's not true. I don't dislike. I've been into the Middle East 8 times.
Yeah.
I don't dislike Muslim people.
What have you been there for?
For work. Yeah. So I've been up and down Israel, Jordan, Lebanon. I've been in the West Bank.
Military guy?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not. Yeah. It's,
so speaking of Israel, what's up? Do you know what like Zionism is? You have an idea?
Zionism, you mean where Jews believe they should have a nation state?
Well, it has nothing to do with Jews specifically.
Or Israelis, but yeah.
Well, anybody can be a Zionist. What if I told you that, like, yeah, Zionists is people that believe that Israel has a right to exist. What if I told you that the most Zionists in the world are Christians? Would that surprise you or alarm you?
Well, then I guess I'm a Zionist, yeah.
Sure. Well, I mean, especially creationists are going to be Zionists, but most even casual Christians are Zionists, right?
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
What is wrong with Zionism? We don't have enough time in the day to do that. But obviously Zionism is a settler colonial project that steals lands from people. I mean, listen, we could go into a debate if you want, but I really suggest you don't start doing this because we can, sure. But I just want to be clear here because like I got nothing to do for a couple hours, bro. We can talk about this, but you gotta understand, you are somebody who doesn't even know what Sharia law is. You have no idea what political theory is. You think the left is Democrats. Like, if you want to talk about a serious topic and truly debate me, Fern, like, let's do it. But like, you really probably want to just stick to this fluffy Christian shit. Because you have no business talking about Zionism. You don't even understand what it is, the history of it.
Let's go for it.
Okay, let's do it. So I'm going to be arguing with Grok now. So let's talk about Zionism. You are a Christian guy who likes the idea of Zionism, and I'm going to explain to you why Zionism is bad. Right? Zionism is a program. You can put your hands in. It's okay. You're good. I'm just trying to explain. We know that you're.
I'm talking to AI here.
Yeah, but we know that you don't know what you're talking about. You don't have to pretend.
All right, let's just go. Let's go.
Let's go. Zionism is bad because you're stealing land from Palestinians. That's why it's bad. It's settler colonialism. It's murderous. It's genocidal. Right? Let's talk this one by one. Pick one of those things and let's talk about it.
Stealing land.
Yes. So you're going to tell me the Israelis had the land first, right?
Yes.
So what about the land that you live on now? Is that the Native Americans?
Yes.
So why do they not get right to that?
So, oh man. So first, let's take the Israel angle first, then we'll take the U.S. angle. So
I mean, this is a simple
Palestine-
question. I don't know why we need backgrounding. Why is it that the Israelis can steal their land back, but the natives can't steal it from you? I just want an answer to that.
Sure, they could try.
So might is right.
If
If the Native Americans could kill you, they could take their land back, and that's just.
it's not, no, it wouldn't be just.
That's what Israelis are doing. They're shooting people and stealing their land and bulldozing their farms, raping everybody imaginable, genociding Gaza, ethnic cleansing in Lebanon, attacking Iran, pulling people into a world war.
You can't just skip over like October 7th.
Sure,
though.
let's talk
Like
about
Gaza,
it. Let's talk about the fact that you have a literal concentration camp with a fence around it, and you have
Okay.
a dominating force that is oppressing people to the point where their actual flour intake is monitored by a bunch of Ashkenazi Jewish people in Tel Aviv that want these people to suffer. You have politicians that talk about mowing the lawn. You have politicians that seed and literally fund Hamas. You have politicians that let this happen so we can do a false flag, so we can sit here and then finally finish them off. October 7th was perhaps the biggest embarrassment of all time for Israel because it was the beginning of their downfall and they didn't have to let it happen. I know this is crazy.
Yeah.
I know you can't understand what I'm talking about because you're not a student of history and you're sitting here as a liberal and you're doing your absolute best, but you gotta understand very quickly, Fern, what happened on October 7th was a direct consequence of the material conditions that the people of Israel and America forced upon the Palestinians after they stole their land and genocided them.
All right. So let's go back to the beginning and we'll work our way up. So the Israelites took Canaan away from the Canaanites after Egypt, right? Can we start there?
Wherever you like. I mean,
Okay.
this is wild that you're agreeing to do this, but go on.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
I think
And
you feel
so-
challenged and you're about to make a fool of yourself.
Hey, maybe that's
All right.
part of the stream,
All
right?
right, let's do it.
And so the Jews were oppressed by the Egyptians. Moses leads them into the promised land. Well, Moses didn't. He dies because they had to wander in the desert for 40 years because they were too cowardly to take the promised land.
He had the land, yep.
Yep. So eventually they get in there, right? And they take it from the Canaanites. So the first, by God's direction. So the first thing to understand, regardless if it's just or not, which you can talk about just later. Again, as a Christian, I would never take anybody else's land.
You did.
I would never kill someone over anyone else's land.
That's not your
And
land that you're on
Christians-
right now. That's the Native
Christians-
Americans' land that you
All
took.
right. Well, okay. We're skipping. I'll get there.
Okay.
So when you take land is always taken by force.
Mm-hmm.
It's never given. It's never has been given. There's not a single group of people that live anywhere in the world that can trace their lineage back to the beginning.
What about the
including-
Louisiana Purchase? What is that?
We're skipping again. So, okay. So Louisiana Purchase.
But
you
you're
mean,
just
you know,
saying
we bought
really
it
weird
from
things.
Napoleon?
You're saying land's never been given. Like in our own oppressive country, land has been bought and given constantly.
The Native Americans were also butchering each other in droves, and tribes held
So they're
land that
barbaric
was
people
shifted over
and
time.
they need to be civilized is your point. You're a chauvinist. You're honestly like you for someone that doesn't want to be labeled as a bigot to call Native Americans barbarians and say they need to be conquered, which is what you're doing. It's disgusting, Fern. Native Americans were
So-
people just like you and I. They lived lives. They fought wars. The indigenous wars of Native Americans have nothing to do with the gunpowder-based colonialism of the of the Europeans that came over and dominated them.
I cannot speak on behalf of or justify things that happened 200 years ago. What I can say is I'm very, very, very grateful that the U.S. exists, and the culture of the United States far exceeds that of the Native Americans.
Do you know what chauvinism is? It's when you think your life is better than your way of life is better than somebody else. You know, here's the deal.
Chauvinism?
You know-
No. That's personal, though.
No. I know what words mean. I
Culturally.
know what words mean, and apparently you don't. Chauvinism is when you think your way of life is better than somebody else's. You think that white Europeans' way of life is better than Native Americans, so we should steal their land, and that's the end of it.
White Europeans took humanity from riding horses to the moon in under 200 years.
So we should steal their land and kill them all.
Well,
Yes?
I am not defending as a Christian. Whatever happened back then happened back then. But
That's
I will
what you're
say
doing.
That is how land. That's how land. I mean, you could go to the Old Testament. God says to do the same thing with the Israelites, to kick out this pagan people and to take their land. Right. I mean, so it is consistent. It may not be. You may not feel it's just, and this goes back to what God says is good and evil versus what we think is good and evil. It certainly is defensible. Hey, you take someone's land, that's wrong. You shouldn't do that. It's a defensible position. Like I completely understand your point of view. But when you have a pagan people that the Native Americans they would scalp each other, they'd murder their kids. I mean, and that's why
you're so unbelievably bigoted in your speech, and you don't realize it. And I know you don't realize it. I know why you don't realize it, because if you did, you'd stop, because you don't want to be perceived as a bigot. I just want you to hear this. When you say that Native Americans are barbaric and they scalp each other and shit, what you are doing is being, ready for this? This is a word you've heard before. 2 words. You're being a white supremacist.
White supremacist. Yep. Okay.
I know that's bizarre because you're used to seeing it in a racial war, white versus black. But what you're doing is saying the white peoples of Europe, they came over and we created civilization. And the barbarians before us, they needed to be conquered and tamed. It's a deeply reactionary, disgusting, bigoted worldview that, quite frankly, I'm amazed that you feel so comfortable sharing on the air like this. I thought you were going to be a little bit more milquetoast and careful. But you're not.
The United States is one of the greatest countries ever created.
The United States is the worst country. It's the worst empire of all time. Its downfall will be insane when it happens. You know, this country has killed billions of people in its existence. You understand that? It's capitalism. Oh, yeah. Capitalism, not the country. Yeah, capitalism has killed billions of people. Billions.
Really?
Yes. Okay. I understand you've never read a book before. I get that, Fern. I understand I'm dealing with somebody that, you know, waded into a pool that's a little too deep for him. Right? But you have a lot to learn about capitalism and its role in the world history. If you think that capitalism hasn't killed billions of people, listen, I guess to you, life is as simple as I have a God and he thinks that I'm better than the natives. We'll take their land. And it must be so convenient to be this ignorant.
So capitalism has raised the world out of poverty.
Yeah, it's killed billions of people. Yeah. It was birthed from feudalism, right?
Yes.
What is capitalism? Tell me. What does capitalism mean? What does the word mean?
Well, capitalism at its root. I'm going to go get a drink. I'm not going to look. Why would I look it up? Look it up on Grok. Capitalism at its root is everybody doing what's best for themselves. And so everybody should have like a net benefit is basically what capitalism is. And it must be checked by an outside force, probably the government, to ensure it doesn't lead to tyranny, because capitalism eventually leads to monopolies, which leads to tyranny. Capitalism is everybody doing something to their own. It's the exchange of goods and services to your own net benefit.
Right.
So we're all communists, socialists, and capitalists. All of us are. Like my family, I'm a communist. Like boys need to eat, they eat. They need to be clothed, they're clothed. And it doesn't matter how useful they are. They get what they need. I'm a communist. My church, my neighbors, I'm a socialist. If they need help, I'm going to help them. I don't care what's in it for me. I'm going to make sure my neighbors are taken care of, my church is taken care of. I would say even my Eve community, right? Like I'm socialist in this way. But if I'm talking to you about a city halfway across the country and they want me to pay taxes to pave their stuff or do something that only benefits them, then I'm a capitalist, because that should be used for me and my people and my society and the people that I live with in my area, right?
Right. No, of course, that has nothing to do with anything. Capitalism is when you can legally profit off of other people's labor. It also is generally identified as, personal property or private property and the government's ability to enforce it. This is kind of what I'm talking about.
But this is a good thing.
You're kind of just rambling about.
It's a good thing.
You're kind of rambling about. Well, no, private property is a very bad thing. And so is profit. I know you've never met a socialist before. You came on the wrong stream. I get that.
Yeah. No. I'm not offended.
You've never met a socialist. You know no Muslim people, right? Like, come on.
No.
This is the first time you've left your political bubble. Apparently, this is bizarre that you agreed to this.
No, I've talked to socialists. I've heard
what is socialism? Tell me what socialism is.
I mean, in a nutshell, it's when everyone is equalized, everybody has equally what they need, and they're all equally taken care of, more or less. That's how I view socialism.
Yeah. So socialism has a definition that you've never looked at, you've never read a book about it, you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. I'm going to tell you what it is so you learn, because I want to teach you. Socialism, two-pronged approach. First is that the workers own the means of production, meaning profit is outlawed. The workers, the people that actually produce the products, get access to the surplus to redistribute or spend as taxes or to pay themselves a salary. The second prong to socialism is a principal interest from the government in public ownership. It has nothing to do with everybody being equal. People in socialism work, they pay taxes, they get in their car, they have a boss. Listen, Fern, like, you got some learning to do. The church isn't going to help you with the geopolitics. They can help you with the inner, but like, I'm talking to somebody who is vigorously debating me on geopolitics, Iran, Israel, Sharia law, and you don't even understand what mode of production is. You don't understand what imperialism is. Like, I'm deeply disappointed that you felt so confident to talk about these things.
Well, it's also interesting. You've asked me one question and you came to this conclusion pretty quick, which, you know, it feels a little unfair. We haven't really explored the topic very much. And, you know, if I don't quote the definition up to your standard, well, then I'm an idiot.
What flipped me? What flipped me? The fact that you called Native American people barbarians that you can conquer and take their land. That's what flipped me. That is bigoted as fuck, even for Christian standards. Like, you are, that is a vile view synthesized by an ignorance that you will probably never fathom. Like, Native American people are real. They have real lives just like you and me, and they blink just like you, and they wear hats, and they go on their computers sometimes. Like, why is it that this barbaric society deserves to be settled and conquered by white people? Because you're a racist, bro. You are that. You are that supremacist that you just really don't want to admit to. Why not just admit to it and move on? You can get your little reactionary viewers, and you can kind of start something up.
Look, I don't know what to say.
I know
I'm sorry that you feel that way, because
I'm sure. It's a feeling-based thing.
You live in the greatest country in the history of the world.
Yeah, I'm not leaving either. I'm going to agitate forever.
And you're not going to go anywhere else, because anywhere else you'd go, you'd hate even more. And I've been all around the world. Yes, I promise you.
Have I never left? Have I never left the country? Are you making assumptions about me?
You're here?
I'm here now. Are you here now? But you've been elsewhere.
Yes.
So does that mean that I haven't been elsewhere? Why not ask me where I've been and what my experiences are before you just assume I've never left?
I never made that assumption.
You did, bro. Come on.
Like, look, no, I didn't. I never made that assumption.
You said I've traveled. Yeah, I wouldn't want to leave. You just said I wouldn't want to leave. You have no idea.
I said I traveled and I would never want to leave. That's exactly what I said.
You said I would. You said you referring to me. Listen, bro, I'm not going to play games with some reactionary guy. Stop fucking around.
I see what you're saying now. My apologies. So yes, I believe, it's my opinion, that if you were to travel to all these different countries, when I believe you have traveled.
Great.
Because I think I saw French, so I think you've been to France.
I've traveled. And
so why aren't you in France?
Because I want to stay here and argue with people like you forever.
I don't believe that.
Why not?
I believe
you think I'm lying?
You can do that. Yeah, I think you can do that anywhere. It's the internet, man.
No, I'm going to do it here, because when you're born into empire, the most noble thing you can do is agitate from within instead of escaping and scoring out like a little worm.
That's convenient.
How's that convenient? Wouldn't it be easier for me to leave and not have the conflict and not have the greatest country on the planet, like you're saying? If I hate it, why wouldn't it be more convenient for me to leave?
So you're a rebel within. So you view yourself as a rebel within the U.S. basically.
I'm a socialist. I know you don't know what socialism is, but yes, I'm a rebel among capitalists. Obviously. Like, how do you not see that?
No, I get it. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me. And here's why. So capitalism for me is the exchange of goods and services, right? And so people typically get really rich.
Brother, socialism exchanges goods and services. Communism exchanges goods and services. Slave ownership exchanges goods and services. Feudalism exchanges goods and services. The mode of production always exchanges goods and services. Capitalism allows profit and private ownership. That is capitalism.
Which is a good thing, a very good thing.
But it's not what you said.
Because without ownership and without private property, you don't have incentive to take risks.
Well, of course, that's not true.
Okay, you'll have to point to a socialist country.
Sure, China, Soviet Union, Laos, Vietnam, Cuba before the embargo. Like, what socialist country would you like to talk about? You're an infant in this conversation, and you know it.
We could talk about China. So China
Let's talk
is
about
mostly
China.
Socialist.
No, it's a socialist country. It's not mostly socialist. It's a socialist country with capitalist tendencies that are controlled via regulation. It is a socialist country with characteristics of China.
Characteristics of capitalism is what you meant, right?
Nope. It is a socialist country with Chinese characteristics. That is what they label themselves as. Just like North Korea labels their system as Juche. They have ways to describe
China is highly capitalist.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Well, let me finish. So we buy from China all the time. And so China, if you ever form a business and you want to source something. Yeah. And so the Chinese are the most aggressive, most helpful, bend over backward people on the planet. If I want to build something in the US, it is extremely hard, complicated, and I don't get the support I need. But if I reach out to the Chinese, man, they freaking jump through hoops and do all kinds of things because they want to sell their product to me.
What's your point?
That's capitalism, man.
Nope, not at all.
At the very core.
Socialism has businesses with trade, money, bank accounts, salaries, wages, and everything in between. Socialism has it too.
Do you think the Chinese people, hold up here, do you think the Chinese workers are being treated well in China?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so have you not watched
Fox News recently? No, I actually watch it for fun.
No. They literally can't even go home. They go to the factory and they live there and they're militarized.
1.5 billion people go to the factory every day is what you're saying.
No, they live there and they can't go home.
All Chinese citizens live in a factory is your point.
Yeah.
All Chinese. Okay. All right. Good talk.
Not all Chinese, but I'm telling you.
How many?
Look at the statistics. Oh, do you want me to Google it?
Well, I'm just wondering if you have any idea if you're talking about, if you decided to talk about something you understand yet or what.
Have you been to China?
It's irrelevant.
Oh, so that's irrelevant. Okay.
Yes.
So that's irrelevant. But I've been to Israel 8 times and I don't understand the Middle East or Muslims or any of that. Got it. Okay. I was just making sure this is consistent.
It's perfectly consistent for those that are following along. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
I don't need to go to China to actually, and by the way, I haven't said I haven't been or not. You're just assuming again, but I don't have to go to China. I don't have to go to China to understand basic political theory and how the Chinese government actually operates on a material level. I can study that in academia like everybody else does in leftism. Do you understand that the West can interface with China in unique ways that you don't even know about? Red Note, we can actually access their services through reverse firewalls and actually interact with them. Like, do you have any idea like what I know about China? Like, this is so embarrassing, dude.
China, the workers live at the factory.
That's not true.
And all you gotta do, well, do you want me to Google the statistics?
I want you to stop lying about China.
All right, then let me Google the statistics on it.
Yeah, let me know how many percentage of Chinese people live in a factory, Fern. Good talk, man. You're kind of losing the plot here a little bit. I mean, the lack of understanding of the topics we're talking about, I just don't understand why you don't feel shame. Like, are you going to clip this off and feel good about the way this went for you?
I don't clip anything.
Well, you said you're going to record it. You said you're going to record it and, edit it down and stuff.
Oh, I'm not even recording it because it's going to go on Twitch, right?
I'm getting real bored here. I'm obviously not going to sit here and wait for you to fucking make up some bullshit about how Chinese people sleep on the floor. Let me tell you some stuff about China off the rip. Chinese people live longer than Americans now. It happened a couple months ago. It actually finally flipped. They actually live longer. There's better employment opportunity in China. There's extreme worker regulation in China, which means the jobs are actually much better for what we understand to be the middle class, which is just the working class. Home ownership is well above 90% versus America's, which is not bad, right? They have high-speed rail everywhere. They have 1,000 cities that put our best city to shame. They haven't dropped a bomb in 40 fucking years on anybody around them. They invest all of their money in their in infrastructure projects across the global south. What do you want? You want to talk about bad things in China? You want to talk about Tibet? You want to talk about Tiananmen Square massacre? You want to talk about the Taiwan Strait? You want to talk about India? What the fuck do you want to talk about? No matter what it is, you are clearly unequipped to discuss this. Why do you not feel shame? What's wrong with you?
100 million people live in factory dormitories and are not able to go home.
So they live in dorms at factories. 100 million out of 1.5 billion people live in dorms and you're upset about it? How many oil rig workers for America live in dorms? Man, this is so below me. I'm going to give you a couple seconds to say your piece and I'm out. I'm done talking to you. You're clearly a dumbass, bro. I got nothing but disrespect for you. The fact that you think Native Americans are subhuman is disgusting. My trans chatters absolutely despise you, right? pretty much anything that happens from this point on, you're going to always be branded as this insanely stupid guy who talks about things he has no idea what's going on with. You don't understand politics. You couldn't define capitalism. You couldn't define socialism. You think Indian people, Native Americans, Aboriginal, Indigenous people were barbarians. You don't understand the Democratic Republican Party dynamic. You don't understand. You don't know a single Muslim person, but you're afraid of Sharia law that you cannot define. And you say Taliban is Sharia law. You are literally a walking caricature of reactionary chuds in the US, and you disgust me. So I'll give you a couple minutes. Go ahead.
No, I feel the love for sure.
Go ahead.
I mean, it's kind of hard to have a conversation when you're yelling at me. No, I'm sorry that you feel the way you feel, but you live in a country that was conquered from the Native Americans, and you live here, and all your stuff behind you and things that you've bought is things that other people built, and they got to profit from that.
Yep.
And the shirt
I live in a society. Curious, right? How dumb are you?
Yeah, I mean, but you're benefiting from capitalism, the things that we all do and work for. And whatever, it's like, look, honestly, whatever's going on that's made you this mad, I'm sorry, dude.
Well, you think you think Native American people are subhuman. It made me very mad. Yeah. So you're apologizing for thinking that they're barbarians worthy to be conquered? Are you apologizing for that? Or are you standing on business?
I don't get the lining in question.
I know you
when
don't.
when the people came and they conquered the territory, it's not like the Native Americans had a superior government.
Yeah.
The Native Americans.
I don't want to hear this. I don't care about this. You've already explained this. Are you willing to say I apologize for saying that the Native Americans are barbarians?
Starvation.
Of course
starvation. You don't know a single person that's died of starvation in your life. If you were here during that time period, you would have known at least a couple. Don't be talking down to me because we solved. Yeah, you're talking down to me, man.
Yeah, because you're a dumbass reactionary, and I have no respect for you. And you clearly have betrayed the idea that you are ignorant. You don't know any of the topics we're talking about. You're fucking looking stuff up. Like, you did this to yourself.
According to you.
Well,
Yes.
We'll see. Post it to Reddit and see what's up. I mean, I'm good. I'm satisfied. All I wanted to do was have a talk with you, kind of buddy you up, get a sense of what's going on, and wait for you to drop some extremely bigoted shit. And there you go. It took Native Americans for you to pop off.
Yeah, so controversial.
Very controversial. Oh, yeah. People that have a heart.
You live here.
True. I am a part of a society. There's a comic about you, but I'm sure you're not familiar with it because you don't study political rhetoric.
I guarantee you, Americans are very proud of their country, man. And I'm sorry you're not. I'm sorry.
I'm ashamed of my country. I'm ashamed of it.
That's rough, man.
No, it's good.
That sucks.
This is what empire looks like. When you have an oppressive empire that you're a part of and you understand it materially and you study the criticisms of the systems of power, this is what it looks like. What it looks like when you're born and you have no sense of purpose and you have no role models and you become a born again Christian and you sit here and you just spew the most vile bigotry towards the indigenous people of the country you stole. Quite frankly, man, that's a shame. That's bad. So I'm going to give you the last word. Say your thing. I'm going to be quiet. Say your thing.
I don't think there's much left to say. I think you can have the final word. I'm okay with that.
Okay. Yep. Take care. All right. Let's put some music on. Shout out to that guy that left before I started clapping at him. Someone was like, "Oh, this is boring. Chlorokin's just platforming him."